All right, guys, we're going to touch on a little bit of a touchy subject. We're going to be talking about like mental, attitude? What do we call this?
Yeah, I think it's kind of
Mental
an attitude, mindset. That's a big key.
mindset.
That's
Good.
a key. That's
So
a
we're
big
going to
word.
get a little serious here in a minute. We're going to be talking to Jeannie. We've talked to her before. I'm going to explain all that in a minute. Guys, we're down at, excuse me, Estadios Este at the relocation retreat. We're not talking about the relocation retreat, so don't cut it off. But if you are interested, if Costa Rica is on your radar, thinking you might want to live here, but you're not quite sure, that this 6-7 day event might be for you. Good, bad, the ugly. You come here, by the time it's over, you'll know if Costa Rica is right for you or it's honey. We're going to Belize. All that information, sign up, prices is in the link in the description. I would love to see you there. Beautiful. Look at this. Beautiful. Anyway, I'm Michael Allen, travelcostaricanow.com. If you haven't subscribed, please do. YouTube's tough these days for a solo YouTuber. And if you want to see videos as I put them up, hit the notification bell. Jeannie, do you recognize her? We've talked to her before. You know what she does here? She actually also presents at the relocation retreat, and she talks about how to work down here if you're not. Well, you explain. Say what you do.
Oh, yeah. Quick. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I actually am a freelancer. So I work on a talent market platform, and I'm also a coach. So I work with people to help them do what I do so they can work where they want, when they want, with whom they want, making anywhere from, supplemental income to either your Social Security or just whatever you need to earn or whatever that is, and doing it all online. And I do it mostly because some people, I know a lot, but some people don't realize that when you come down here, you can't work. Like, you can't just get a job. So people are going, oh, then what else can I do? And the people I work with, mainly 50 plus, come with 20, 30, 35 years of experience and talents that they can use to work online.
Yeah, but they don't.
How to do that.
I've talked to, we have other videos with Jeannie, and what I've learned from her is a lot of people don't know their options with work. They think whatever they did in the States, whatever that thing is, they don't think it resonates here, that they can't do it. And you kind of help people go, well, maybe we can find a way to work your expertise into online working.
Well, the idea is you've had a job, right, your whole life or whatever. But inside of the job, or whatever the title is, you have all these skills and talents that enable you to do the job. So we look and see what those skills and talents are, whether they're the job or your passion or hobbies you've had, and look to see where there's a nexus for market demand online, that you could use those things. But the key is you do it where you want, when you want, with whom you want. So the traditional sense of what working is and everybody's ready to be done with it, not such a good idea anymore. There's too much science that says keeping engaged is a really good thing for your brain as you get older.
I'm getting older, Jeannie.
Which is kind of a segue into our conversation.
Yes. So, guys,
you turned what? Are you going to tell people?
Well, I thought I was turning 65, but I wasn't. I was telling everybody I was going to be an official senior citizen 5 days before my birthday, until the end of the last day. I go, I'm not going to be 65. I'm going to be 64. And that actually, this is serious, actually. I was very bothered by the fact that, I'm going to be 60. No, I'm going to be 64. I literally thought I was going to be 65 for 5-6 days. And all of a sudden I go, I've been telling everybody this 60, I'm going to be 64.
You got a whole nother year to go.
I know. I was bummed that oh my God, dementia's already setting in.
Well, I'm actually I thought we were the same age, because I'll be 63 this year. So I'm kind of going, oh, you're still older than me. Okay, that works.
I'll always be older than she. Guys, if you want to get a hold, we're not talking about what she just said, but if you want to get a hold of Jeannie because you're thinking, I don't know, you're working online, I will put her information down below. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about kind of I don't know, I don't think you hear this topic too much, in the YouTube world of Costa Rica, but I think we're going to discuss, mental mindset. Like, if you're going to come to Costa Rica and, what happens when you're here, if things aren't, if you're, I don't know, if you're not ready, I don't know.
It's just an expectation you have that, I've been here 2.5 years. You've been here a lot longer. So it's kind of fresh for me to kind of remember what expectations are and why we have them. And they keep us safe if we have them. And then what happens when they aren't met. And reaction, the old thing about we can't control what happens to us, but we can control the reaction. And let's
start. So where were you before you came down here? Like, mentally, were you kind of going, okay, a new chapter in my life, I'm looking forward to a new adventure? Where were you at, like, in your attitude about coming down here?
We lived in Charlotte, North Carolina for 10 years before we came here. That's not our original, where we're originally from. And, you know, we live the life everybody lives, right? Mortgage and da-da-da-da-da and all this stuff that keeps you going in the pace. And we actually got to a point where at our age, after the dot-com, right, we were in Silicon Valley at that time, and then 9/11 happened, and then the recession, which just nailed us. And then the pandemic, we were just like, enough. Something else comes, and we're in our 60s. Recovery and recoup isn't the same thing. And we were just, I don't want to say we were just done. It was time to move on. Like, if this isn't the time, when is? And my last career is working with older adults. So I got to see a whole lot with people as they grow older, and kind of knew how I wanted to grow older and what I didn't want when I grew older. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like, wow, if I've got maybe a good 20 years left on the planet, statistically speaking, and some of that will maybe include chronic illness. I don't know. Right. We got to get on with it. That was sort of our thing. It's like, when are we going to do this if not
so
now?
Kind of a new adventure for you guys in general.
Yeah.
But I was kind of, so when I came down here, I was just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. I thought I live in Las Vegas. I'm coming down here. I'm going to make a new life. But what I didn't know is, you know, I'm still growing mentally, you know, my belief system and all that kind of stuff. You know, I was a big drinker. I've always been a big drinker. So I believe that Costa Rica, if you come down here and you want to make, let's say, lifestyle changes, I think that the pace of Costa Rica and that whole pura vida can help you, like, calm your nerves to make those changes. Yeah. But me, just real quick, like, if you continue some of these behaviors, let's say drinking, or maybe it's maybe like biking, I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah. If you don't make some serious changes, I think Costa Rica can actually make it even more like living in the abyss, because now you've circled yourself with quietness, and you're going, but I'm not changing.
Yeah.
What happened? And now I think you even sink lower because it gives you the backdrop. You're not on task all the time. In the States, you're going, I'm a drinker, but I got things to do and I'm not going to think about it. You come down here, be careful what you wish for, and you got all this calmness, and now you're in your head way too much.
Yeah.
And now, why aren't I changing?
Yeah.
Why am I still, let me go get some beer. I got to think about this. And now you're just going, I've seen, being here 18 years, unfortunately, I've seen it go both ways. I've seen the guy or the girl or whatever come down here and make the necessary changes in their life to make it, you know, positive. And I've also seen it exacerbate a problem that was here, and it went to here because I lived it. I kind of am that guy too. So I was wondering, that's what I was kind of getting at with, where were you before? How, you know, because we're supposed to be growing all the time, right?
Well,
I mean, that's the...
Yeah. Well, just so everybody's, I think the way I spoke that before was just so everybody's clear that I am a very hyper-vigilant human. I'm very aware of danger. I'm very aware of being unsafe, mostly physically, but I'm very hyper-vigilant. My husband is not. He kind of goes for it. And so I want to make clear that I was scared to death to come down here. I didn't know what it would mean. Like, my normal state was, I was amped. I was very amped about it. But I also knew it was best to do it, because the alternative of staying where we were doing what we were doing, there was no positive outcome out of that. There was just more of the same, and I was as stressed out there as I've ever been in my life. So I came down that way, and then, you know, we won't go into it. But
I was just going to think, you had some, let's say, some bad things happen early on that it's not actually making you feel better about your change.
No,
you want to see which we're talking about? There's a video where I talked to Jeannie and her husband, where we talk about what happened to them. It's let's just say, bad things.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of going, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, here's the thing that I've noticed, and some of what I'm speaking about too will also come from now. I've worked with a number of people, and people coming down here, and clients.
So you're seeing these people.
Yeah. So what I think is that, you know, people come down, and they kind of come for what's behind us, whatever your version is, whether it's the beach or the mountains or
the
volcano.
jungle, the macaws flying by while you're having coffee, the paradise.
And it shouldn't poop on me while I'm
paradise
talking.
Concept.
Yeah, like, this is what people come for. And then what I notice for some people is they come down with exactly who they are, their stuff. You know, if you ever watch George Carlin's Stuff Conversation, right? They bring their stuff, and you know,
we're talking to our people, Jeannie, right now, so they know who that is.
They come down and they set up their life here, pretty much to mirror the life they had there, but what they want is a different backdrop.
Right.
So they bring themselves and their thinking and their proclivities and their stuff, and they settle in and are unhappy.
Man,
way more of those people.
Trust me, I feel this. I'm telling you, just from experience. I don't want to get all sad, but when you're having issues, if you have like, you know, whatever you are in your mind, you're having issues. All I know is Costa Rica. You can get lost in the abyss of the issue because of the calmness here. It's almost too much. It's almost better if you have the distraction of the United States everyday life to not think about it. But here, you can get in your head and never leave it. And with the ocean in the backdrop. Yeah. And it's not that great.
It is not that great.
It's worse. It's doubly worse because there's no distraction. And be careful what you wish for. You come down here, I'm going to make these changes, Jeannie. I swear I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to do this thing. And then you have to look in the mirror and go, you haven't stopped. You're still doing this thing. Why? You've given the perfect atmosphere to make the change. And now look at yourself. You still aren't making the change. Now you feel like shit. Right. You have a ton load of shame and guilt now. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God. But you're alone down here. You don't speak Spanish maybe very well. You can't talk to anybody. Yeah. And now you're wallowing.
Then it becomes Costa Rica's fault. That's what I watch. Is that
it's too expensive?
It's too expensive. Everybody told me it would be cheap. It's too expensive. It just becomes a Costa Rican. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't honest things that happen that do not work for people here. And I get that. I just find a lot of people come down with what I call a North American sensibility, which is there's a way in which you work to live in North America. Whether, you know, I don't mean work, although that's part of it, but there's a way that you've come to connect and understand how to be and how it's going to go and how people will be of service to you and what to expect. And we kind of operate a certain way. And then we come down here operating the same way, except you're in a different environment that doesn't work that way.
Right. And it doesn't budge for your needs.
No, you got to come down here. This is not your home. Nobody actually cares, right? You're not the top. You're not like, Yertle the turtle. I don't know if you remember that. You're not the guy, Yertle, at the top of the stack anymore. Now we're the Mac, right? If you go back and read that children's story, it's political. But, we're Macs at the bottom of the stack of turtles, who I think burps at the end and they all fall. But we live in America sort of as the Yertles, right? We kind of...
a lot of people bring down their ethnocentric thinking of like, I come from a country that's the best in the world. What we do is the way to do it. The way we think is the way you should think. And you bring it down here, not willing to adjust and adapt to the culture, which is already going to create other problems, exacerbating your other personal issues.
Well, let's not forget, too, the other thing a lot of people bring down, and I'll call them gringos because that's what we are, is money. And down here, you can have a lot of money. And you can live at the top of a hill, and you can live in a 4,000 square foot home overlooking the ocean. And when you get in your car, and you come down and you go to, the local soda, or you go shopping, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. No. The money doesn't do it. It may give you a view you want, but it's not going to ingratiate you into the culture and the society the way, if you have a lot of money, does in North America.
Yeah, but I also think it brings up the point we're kind of talking about. You're up on the hill with your 4,000 square foot house, and are you happy? So what's that word even mean?
I don't even go for it.
Let's go with content.
Content. That's my word.
Yeah, but why aren't you content up there? You're living the dream you thought was gonna. Mm-hmm. I'm living out my life on top of a hill. Mm-hmm. I've made money. I've done my thing, but something's missing up there. Not always. Some people love, but I've met a lot of people that have that house on that hill. Yeah, and they hate their life. Yeah. In that sense. Well, let me ask you. So, how did the move down here impact your psyche or whatever? Have you changed from living here? Have you, fast paced or whatever it would be? Has the 2 years you've been here impacted the?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say though about me, and for those of you out there, is I'm very self-reflective anyway. So I've always been interested in learning about getting better, about having better brain health. I mean, I've always been that person. So I brought that down with me, right? And then also for those of us, I think getting older is a different kind of thing for some of us that are willing to look at that and see changing and growing. But I would definitely say that Costa Rica and being in a completely different culture, because we've moved around the states, you moved around, you go from one state to another, neighborhood to another, it's the same. Being in a completely different culture is such a lesson if you're willing to learn it. And I came down fully on board to learn what I needed to learn. I mean, honestly, to be more content and happy I gave up that a long time ago, because that's so not the DNA here. I'm a little bit of an Eeyore, right? Good morning if it is a good morning, which I doubt.
You've read a lot of child books and children's books.
They're really meaningful.
They are.
There's
even,
a lot of lessons
and the simple truths of Pooh, like he's got some good stuff.
Yeah, Ferdinand the Bull's another great one.
It's not the journey, it's the people you're on the journey with.
Which aren't so great sometimes. But anyway, yeah, so absolutely. But it's a willingness to do it.
But what would you speak for? Because I'm self-reflective, but I'm self-reflective where it almost hurts me a little bit because maybe a little too much.
Yep.
I go, oh my God. So
you are older.
So, right. Okay, good one. So I think if you come down with that attitude of self-reflection, willing to learn, obviously it's going to go miles here.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a different country. You're in another country. You're learning the culture. You're doing this thing. What do you think about people that are trying to? Again, we mentioned it, but you come down here and you're just trying to live a gringo life in a Costa Rican world. And I don't think you can fight the culture like that.
You can't, because there's not enough to fill you up. I mean, you can shop in the States. There's so much to do. My experience looking back, and I think I sort of knew it then, but there's so much in the United States to keep yourself occupied. You can stay away. You can go
distracted. You're distracted from living. Actually.
I would go to Target, on a Saturday afternoon, and I could shop and make an excuse that the tank tops I bought were only $7 each, so I bought 3. Whatever, there's so much to do to fill up your time and to distract you from whatever ails you. And I'm like everybody else with my ailments. Down here, there's nothing. There's no shopping.
It exposes who you are. I don't want to get all sad, and I'm not going to go too far.
No, I think it's really healthy.
So what happened with me, I didn't mean to do this, but everyone knows the simple. I just wear white t-shirts.
Right.
I don't buy anything I don't need. I live in a little Tico house of nothingness. I don't buy anything I don't need. So when you start dropping everything that actually a lot of people define themselves by, like, look at my fashion, this is me. Yes. Look at my house, that's me.
Yes.
Or this is what I do, that's me. I've taken all that, stripped it all, and now I have to look at myself, and it's too much. It's almost too much. And then if you enter drinking or drugs or depression, like let's say you just have
and the thing we're not saying, which we talked about. I mean, I know people, and porn is a big one. I'm telling you, I got to bring it up. That's just another proclivity.
Yes, like and you get caught up. And now when you strip yourself from everything and you are looking at yourself stripped down with no distraction, it can be a little too much to face yourself. Yeah. And now Costa Rica can be the perfect backdrop to make changes. That is true. I've seen that. And I'm hoping that I'm going that direction. But I have gone south here because it is too much. Like I've gone south for it. So it's almost like this is a kind of not a warning, but kind of like just be aware of when you come down here, it can give you the tools to make your life way better and give you fill out your dreams, your passions, do your world. Or if you don't make those changes, it can take you faster to the abyss of.
I think what you're bringing up is really good, because even if you come down and you say, look, I'm going to take which I hear a lot, we're going to take the first 6 months, first year, we're just going to do nothing. Like, I totally get that. Like, if you can do that, I get it. Just know that you're not on vacation anymore. And there's a vacation vibe here. If you're on vacation where you can enjoy all this stuff and travel around.
Kind of honeymoonish.
It's a honeymoon period. It's like anything else, right? But eventually the honeymoon does go away and you do end up kind of hanging out wherever you've chosen. in your house and maybe made some friends or whatever your story is, and there's you. And there isn't the distractions to fill up the you that I just don't know anybody that can say that they don't distract themselves to avoid
you being you.
You being you.
Well,
I mean,
and it's funny what you're saying is it's time. I believe the best commodity in life is not money. I think it's your time to do.
It's your most valuable because you can't get it back.
But be careful what you wish for, because if you're not ready, the time is too much. Because you almost need that. I need to go to Target and distract myself from being me. So let me go price T-shirts or go, wow.
But let's be honest too. Let's get down and dirty too. It's also couples. This is not going to fix your marriage. Right? I'm just talking about all the stuff that I know about.
And there's sometimes one person in the couple is on board as the other one. You want to be on board. You're like, oh, I'm with them. I'm, love and stuff. But it's like maybe Costa Rica doesn't speak to one of them as much.
Yeah.
Now what do you do?
Now what do you do?
Do you compromise? Do you go, honey, it's not working for me. Do you make now it's miserable?
Yeah.
They don't want to leave, or you don't want to leave. He does, or she does, vice versa. I actually spoke about that in my presentation about the couple thing, because, by yourself, obviously, whatever, you can do, you make your decision. But as a couple, you're here as a couple. And I would be very bummed if me and you were together and I loved it here and you weren't feeling it.
Yep.
So what do I do?
Yep.
Because I love you, what I mean? I want to do what you want to do.
Well, I would say when we came down, James was definitely more on board than I was, but I don't mean on board like he just doesn't live.
But
with
he doesn't care. He just floats. He floats around. He's going to adjust and adapt. He could be on a hut. He's going to lay on the floor and he's going to be with the family, eating rice. You know what I mean?
More than happy. And I'm like going, okay, that's good, but just this.
Yeah.
Just this. So, but I took it. Now, here's the thing, though. I took that on as as long as I'm with as long as I'm with that guy, I'm good. That's sort of my whole mantra. And we have 2 grown children and I love them, but I'm with this guy, I'm good. So I actually took that on as kind of going, I want to be more that way. That looks like a really cool way to be. So I took that on, not like a challenge as much as I'm going to go for it.
Kind of challenge.
I'm a little wound, if you can tell, I'm a little bit more wound up tight, about
Well, it's why you guys are together.
Yeah,
that whole you complete me thing has a little, it has a little truth to it, because there's a little opposite.
Yeah.
He's what you kind of wish, and you give him vice versa. And you give him the foundation of strength, and that's nice. We can lay on that mat for a while, but we got to get a bed, dude.
I need a mattress.
And you're the one that's going to make it happen.
I do.
And he wants you to, he wants you to do it.
Yes, exactly.
He can say he wants to be on that mat, but he doesn't really.
You do know us. Yeah. So I'm just saying that all of that comes with it, and I don't know. It's like, what else? And this is what I say to people. What else are you going to do with life? I mean, you can stay where you are. And I get it. People have different reasons to stay where they are.
Comfortability. Comfortability of the sameness.
Yeah, I get that. And I understand there's family and children and there's grandchildren, which I now have. I mean, I get that all. We have to do it however we have to do it. But in the context of what we're speaking about, like coming to Costa Rica and why are you coming? That's really, all this stuff's really got to get looked at, because it will eat you alive.
Jeannie, I don't know. I agree with I have a brother like that. He's very comfortable with sameness. And I actually, I'm almost jealous, because I wish I could do it. But I think what happens is, as you get older, you do start going, man, I should have made this move. What have I been doing? I think that whole regret thing in a way.
Yeah.
So to me, and forget Costa Rica, it could be anywhere.
Anywhere.
But
anywhere.
At some point you're getting older and you go, man, if you're real with yourself, my life on this planet is shorter, not longer anymore. Yeah. And I know that. I could be dead today or within 10 years. And it's like, okay, now how do I choose to live these 10 years?
Yes.
Do I want to be in the sameness?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But I think actually, as you get going, you're kind of going, I should be doing something. It's because I think we're built for adventure. That's what we do. We go conquer things.
Yeah.
That's what we've done. We have to have an adventure to go out there to feel like we have a purpose.
Yeah.
You just can't sit there with the sameness. It's cool, but I really believe at the end of days, you kind of go, I probably should have made a stronger move at some point.
Well, here, look, you can't see it, but we got a great iguana.
We had one over here too, listening to us.
Oh, cool.
Getting some life lessons.
He's bored. He's leaving.
No, they're
Oh, no, he's agreeing. He's going like this. He's agreeing. No, there's 2 things with that. One is, one of the big reasons I also left the U.S. was growing older in the U.S. was very scary to me. So there's a sameness, and there's a sameness that we're used to living when we're earning our incomes and making it work with our mortgages or whatever, knowing what our net is and keeping it going. And then for a lot of people, there's a point where they get to where that job isn't going to happen anymore, or they're done with that job, or the job has been done with them because they get silver hair and all that stuff that happens. And all of a sudden, that sameness that you've been living now on a fixed income isn't the sameness you're used to. That's a big one for people, big one. So that's a conversation that people need to look at. That's one of the reasons my husband and I still work, is we're not ready to live on a fixed income and live the lifestyle we want.
Right.
So we keep working and we have our plan and all that. I love to work, by the way. So that's one thing that needs to people to think about then, because sameness means how much you got to live that sameness while you're growing older in the United States or Canada for that matter. The other thing, and I'm just speaking to a crowd that I can speak to because I can't necessarily speak to your crowd, which is women. You know, I talk to a lot of women. I can
be way womany.
Yeah, us join in the conversation. Join in. No, I talk to a lot of women too, that we come from a background of what we did that we were supposed to do. Right, we did our education, we got married, we had our kids, and there's things that we did, and some of us, I mean, I loved a lot of what I did, and then we get to a point going, you know,
there's more.
It's like I've been always like dealing with gardening. I like to garden, but boy, being a master gardener would be really cool. And we start to come to terms with what we didn't do that we wish we had done, or could we have done it? And it opens up a whole new conversation, which is, can I do it now? And for some of the women I speak to, there's like, yeah, but no way I could do it living in the U.S., living the way I live. So I'm also looking for a place where I could go that would enable me to do something different and do me.
Well, actually, I have a question. So you are working with people. People are contacting you. They know you're in Costa Rica for the most part, even though you can do what you do. But what are you seeing in the people that are talking to you? Do you hear anything in their voice of yearning or of stress or I don't know, anything? What do you?
Which is why they're looking at something else?
I mean, do you catch anything with them? Like, are they like, oh my God, I got to get out of here, I'm just grasping at straws? Or like, no, I want to go on a new adventure. I think I've listened to you. Or what are you seeing?
All of that. I mean, all of it. But once people are talking to me, and I'll work with people. I mean, even if you just want to stop your work, but you want to stay in your home office sitting in Iowa, I work with them too.
I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, Jeannie. Iowa's a shit state. No, that's a joke. I love you all.
There goes that contingency.
I know, right? Unsubscribe.
So I see it all, but you know, one of the things that a certain group of people I work with too are actually people who are already here. That's another subset. And people get bored out of their mind.
Too much time.
They get bored. They're like, you know, and so, quite a few are women. So a higher percentage of freelancers are women. That is who a higher percentage of freelancers are. About a third of the people in our age group are freelancing. Millennials are also a third. Most, except when you get down to the Gen Zs, it gets higher. But a third of us are doing some kind of gig economy, whether they're driving Uber or doing DoorDash or working online. And a lot of it is for supplementing an income. But a lot of people get bored. They're just bored. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have enough interest. Seriously. I would be so bored 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year with nothing to do. I'd be out of my mind. I talk to people like that.
I know, but I also think that if somebody's saying they're bored, to me that's a self-reflection on themselves. You don't have to be. You don't have to be bored.
But if they don't have interest, if there's some of their interests don't like the skin here is not going to go lie on the beach every day.
Right.
So I've got between 10 in the morning, about 4 in the afternoon, where I'm just not doing this. I do a lot in the early morning with our dogs, and I do a lot after 4. I do a lot there. But there's this whole chunk of the day that I'm not doing this skin out there. It's not happening. So that's what people say. That's the words they use, right? And they're looking for, you know, a little something. Just a little something.
You know, I don't know what the takeaway of this video is. I'm almost kind of thinking, I don't want to go like negative, but it's almost like
North American sensibilities at home.
Yes, or it's like almost be careful what you wish for. Because again, what we kind of started with, Costa Rica can give you the perfect backdrop to change your life, go on your adventure, do a thing you've never done before, and be the most. And when you die, you can go,
Content.
I did, yes.
And perfectly content.
Or it can go, that can turn to a black sea of darkness.
Yes.
And I don't want to, I don't know. I just
no,
think,
I think it's important. Well, your offer to people is always good, bad, and ugly. So I think
yeah, and you know, unfortunately, the mental, you know, just your mental stability or whatever, because a lot of people are bringing a lot of baggage. We all have baggage, you know, and it's like, be careful.
We all come down with something. Like there's something going on with all of us, which actually is part of what I think a lot of us all get along, and we kind of, because we all get it. We don't often know what it all is, but we all know something. There's something that gets you here.
Well, I can tell you right now, I have enjoyed this conversation immensely because for me, it almost feels therapeutic for me. So I thank you for that. And we're probably going to be talking to Jeannie again, but this was fun. Matter of fact, I'm going to...
Was it though?
I think so.
It was fun. It was fun. I'm messing with it.
I'm feeling all happy.
Are you?
Yes.
Happy or content?
Happy is the stupidest word ever. Okay. I don't know. What is that?
No, because I'm always unhappy trying to be happy. Because I can never get there.
All right, guys, remember, if you want to get a hold of Jeannie for whatever reason, maybe you just want to talk to her, all that's going to be in the link in the description. I'm Michael Lau, and hey, if you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere, always do your homework and research. And if it's Costa Rica, I'm going to put my videos up against anybody's, Jeannie. I'm just going to say.
I watched him all the time before we came down here.
All right, guys, ciao. Say goodbye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.